You just got a new printer. What now? In this video, we're going to go over a few things about 3D printers. I think the first should be Filament. Filament, brand, where to buy, and what type to use. Everybody has their own brands they like. I personally like Polymaker, Prusa Mint, Jessie, and Elegoo. Nowadays, though, it's really hard to go wrong with filament. I feel like most of the filament manufacturers out there are making a pretty good product, and it's kind of hard to go wrong. I mean, I would avoid some of the really cheap knockoff stuff, but to be honest, I've had some really good luck with that too. So I would say in the beginning, just stick to name brand filaments. You don't have to pay a lot of money. Prusa Mint is amazing filament. It's probably the most expensive out of all these. Polymaker is really good. It's not that expensive. Okay, where to buy your filament? I would say that really depends on how fast you need it. So I live in the US, I live in California. They have a saying here, if I wanted it tomorrow, I would order it tomorrow. If you are somewhere that Amazon ships really fast, that's probably your best option. I buy a lot of stuff on Amazon. It'll show up the same day, sometimes the next day. I can get Polymaker directly from Amazon. They have a huge selection. You can also buy directly from Polymaker's website. You hit a certain amount, you get free shipping, and they have like a point system if you buy it directly from them. Jessie Filament from Printed Solid. Excellent filament, but their shipping is pretty bad. Last shipment I got, it took 3 days to get it out of their facility, 3 to 4 days to show up. At the same time, I ordered some stuff from Prusa, so I went ahead and threw a couple rolls of Prusa Mint on. This stuff came all the way from Prague, and it showed up to my house faster than the Jessie did. Hopefully they're just going through some growing pains. I mean, they make good filament. It's a good price. Just the shipping, you have to be okay with it taking a few days. And if you are, it's tough to go wrong with Jessie filament. But if you are in a pinch and you need it in a hurry, or you just want a good deal, I buy a ton of this. This is Elegoo PETG, and I think I get that. It's mostly black or white color, and it's $12 to $13 a roll. I mean, how do you beat that? That is so cheap. On Amazon, shows up same day, sometimes next day. The most I've waited for filament was 2 days. So if you're in a hurry, I would just do Amazon. If you're okay with waiting a little while, maybe you want a little better deal, go through some of these manufacturers. You can get Polymaker right from Polymaker or Jessie right from Printed Solid. Next, let's talk about the different types of filament. So there's 3 main types I'm going to talk about. I think they're the most widely used. First being PLA, then PETG, and lastly ASA. So PLA is the most commonly used because it's easy to use. It usually just works. This here is PLA. I try to not print too much PLA myself because let's say you print that super cool fidget spinner, that fidget toy you've wanted, and you leave it in your car on a hot summer day. When you come back, that PLA part, it might be warped or deformed and it might not work the way it's supposed to. That's the downside to PLA. It prints easy, prints fast, usually not many issues. A lot of times you don't even see layer lines. PLA is very forgiving and easy to work with. I think that's why people start out with it. It's also hard. It will tend to break before it bends. But the downside is it's not chemical resistant to almost anything. IPA will just melt it. It's very heat sensitive and UV sensitive. So if you leave it in the sun, it's going to weaken, discolor, and if you leave it in a hot car, it'll deform. So if PLA is the most common filament, I think PETG is the second most used filament. It's a little bit harder to print than PLA, but I think the trade-off is well worth it. It tends to be a little bit stringier, the temps are a little bit higher. Everyone will say you don't need an enclosure for PETG, but if you're printing something of any size, you will need an enclosure, even if it's a little temporary one. If you have an enclosed printer though, this is a non-issue. So when you get bigger prints with PETG, you will sometimes see cracks or lifting or warping if the temperature isn't consistent. Now let's say you print off that super cool fidget spinner with PETG. You leave it in your car on a blazing hot summer day. When you come out, that fidget spinner is going to fidget and spin exactly the way you want it to. No warping, no melting. PETG is also chemical resistant and UV stable. Now, chemical resistant to a lot of chemicals. It holds up to IPA. I think it's good with acetone, a whole bunch of stuff. It's a really good filament. So PETG is heat resistant, UV stable, and to a lot of chemicals, it's chemical resistant. I think it's well worth the trade-off. It's a little bit tougher to print. It's a little harder to print than PLA, but I think it's well worth it. And what I think is the third most commonly used, I could be wrong, is ASA. ASA is like ABS's ripped cousin, right? This guy's just better in every way. ASA is a little bit lighter than PETG. The problem, or the downside, I should say, with ASA, you definitely need an enclosure. And again, same thing goes. You could print something small, not very high, a few millimeters, and you're going to be fine. But if you get into a larger print, you absolutely need that enclosure. Not only that, ASA puts off harmful chemicals when it's printing. So you definitely want to have a serious filtration system built into your printer or added on. If I'm printing ASA, I usually just leave the room, let the printer do its thing. I also feel that ASA comes out so smooth. So on the layer of smoothness, for me, PLA comes out looking great. PETG, a lot of times you can see a little more layer lines, but ASA comes right back into that smoothness, and I feel like it is even nicer than PLA. I think it has a, I don't know, it has a better feel to it. Anyways, you'll have to decide that for yourself. It is a little more expensive than PETG or PLA. Let's take a closer look at a machine, and I'm going to show you a few key points to the machine, just stuff you should be able to identify, and these things are pretty universal across all machines. You might want to take notes because there will be a test after this.
No.
Nope. I'll take a pop urine test.
Okay, fine. No test. All right. Starting on the outside of the machine, on this printer, the filament is mounted right here on the side. Then the filament runs up through this little tube, and this is called a Bowden tube. And what it does is it gives the filament a clean path all the way to the tool head. You can see right here, the filament is running through this Bowden tube and it goes into the top of the tool head. Now this whole piece here, this is called the tool head. It's made up of a few different parts. We won't exactly go into all of that, but right in the middle here, this section is the hot end, and the very tip here is the nozzle. That's where the magic happens.
This is where the magic happens. Right over here.
And yet, nothing magical ever happened.
On this printer, it has these three Z screws or Z screws. That is what moves the bed up and down. So as the print grows larger, this bed is going to move closer to the bottom. And this brings us to an important little safety tip here. While this machine is running, you should not have your hands inside this area. This tool head moves very fast around in here. And if you have your hand in there, you can get pinched, caught, burned, and you're going to be leaking blood all over the bed, and then no prints are going to stick. I mean, that's no fun for anyone, and it just goes downhill from there, you know? Let's agree to keep our hands out of the machine while it's running. It'll be a better day for everyone. And while we're talking about the bed, so this is the bed. When you hear people talk about the build plate or the bed, they're talking about this right here. And another safety tip, since we're on that topic real quick, this is the last safety thing I'll talk about. When the printer is running, this bed gets very hot. You do not want to put your hands underneath this bed at any time. Now, some printers have mains voltage that heats up the bottom of this bed that gets this bed hot. And if you touch that, you can really hurt yourself. You do not want to do that.
Electric shock therapy. Can you smell it?
But as far as the bed goes, or the build plate, this is what they're talking about, is this actual sheet. So your print sticks to this. You can see here, that looks pretty dirty. It's really not. What you really want to watch out for are fingerprints. You can see here the fingerprints on the bed, and then on the part, you can see the exact spot where my fingerprints were. That's how it works. Anywhere that there are fingerprints or oils on the bed or contamination, the print usually just won't stick. And it can cause anything from the print not sticking just in that one area where the contamination was, or the entire print failing. So you want to be careful with that. As far as keeping your bed clean, it's super simple. What I do is I will wash this with soap and water in the sink. I just use dish soap, wash it real good, dry it both sides, bring it in here. I'll do a spray down with IPA and wipe it with a paper towel. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of IPA you get on Friday night at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock somewhere.
True.
I'm talking about isopropyl alcohol, all right? Wipe it in one direction, kind of helps make sure there's no water on there, pop it in the bed, boom. Now, sometimes you will need an adhesion promoter or a barrier, right? These are not bad things. When I first started, I thought I was a purist. Like, I'm not putting glue stick on my bed. I just want the print to work the way it should. It doesn't really work that way. Sometimes you just need good old-fashioned glue stick. And I'll use glue stick sometime, mostly as just a layer on there so I can remove the material. Some printing materials stick too good. Glue stick works great for that. Now, if you have adhesion issues, nanopolymer from Vision Miner, fantastic. So, I don't know if you can see, I've been using this a lot for a while now, for months. It's down to here. It's an expensive bottle, but it really does last a long time. And I will cover the entire bed sometimes. And not just this, a 300 millimeter bed, the whole thing. Now, after I do that, I'm pretty careful to not touch the bed with my fingers. I will use gloves to pluck my parts, because once you get oil on it, then it's still not going to stick. But that Vision Miner, it works just like a real clean, fresh bed, just with better adhesion. When it cools, you can hear the parts start cracking and lifting. It's perfect. It's fantastic. So don't be afraid of a little bit of adhesive or glue stick. I think Magic Goo makes one also. These are good products. They are made for 3D printing. You're not cheating. It's not a bad thing. Feel free to use it. Now, if you're just printing PLA, you probably don't need that. All right, now you're an expert on 3D printers. Let's talk about where you get files. So you're going to get files through websites like Printables, MakerWorld, Thingiverse, Things. There's a whole bunch of different sites to get files from. Files are going to come in STL, 3MF, step files, even G-code. G-code's a tricky one. So printers run off of G-code. That's how they operate. But the G-code is specific to your printer and its setup. So if you see a G-code on one of these sites like Printables, chances are it's not really going to work for your printer unless it is specifically made for it. I try to avoid those. This is where a slicer software comes in. I use Prusa Slicer for my Prusa machines, and I use Orca Slicer for everything else. Either one of these choices are good. Orca Slicer, Bamboo Studio, these are all based off of Prusa Slicer, which is based off of Slick 3D or something. So they all work off this same open source platform. The important thing is you're going to find the file you want to print. It sounds a little bit confusing. I'll try to make this quick and clean. You're going to go online, find the file you want, download the STL or 3MF, slice it, and then print it. Now, it's important when you slice it, make sure that you choose the right filament. If you have PLA loaded, make sure you're not saying you're going to use ASA, because it's not going to print right and it's going to be an ugly mess. So just be mindful of that and you're set. It's really not that big a deal. It sounds complicated, but once you get into it a couple times, it'll all just click and it's pretty easy to do. I think that's it. I think we've covered everything there is to know about printers. You are printer grandmasters now, or at least you know the basics, bare minimum, right? So thanks for watching the video. Don't forget, there's this thing I keep hearing people talk about outside. It's not that exciting right now because it's all rainy, but the sun's going to come out again. Go get you some of that sunlight. I mean, it's a good thing, especially while your printer's running. What are you going to do? Just sit here and stare at it? Go outside. just make sure you get back in before it's done. That's it. Thanks for watching. We go outside, at least sometimes.